Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Jamel from Fantasy Life, and today I want to talk about gaming in 2015. 2015 was a solid year for gaming. We had gotten big titles, great hits such as Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Star Wars Battlefront, The Taken King, Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, so on and so forth. Games of that particular caliber, which got some really decent reviews and were just really good games, beautiful games, solid games. And what I want to talk about in this particular videos are games that are pretty decent, are pretty solid games, and in some cases are really good games, but got less than stellar reviews at their launch, which resulted in them not becoming as popular as they could have been. These are going to be games that you notice a particular trend, whether it's going to be just a lack of content on their original release, or just maybe they were a little bit too buggy for the average consumer on their original release. So a lot of the reviews on them were less than stellar, but that didn't make it an overall bad game. Now, the first game we're actually going to get into is The Order 1886. The Order 1886 was a visually stunning game with solid gameplay mechanics and a decent story that engulfed you into this new fictional world. This was a new take on history, in which you had a small group of people called the Order that battled mystical creatures such as werewolves. Now, the problem with the Order 1886 was it was hard to justify a $60 price tag for a 6-hour game, especially when 3 of those 6 hours consisted of cinematic cutscenes. Another downfall to the Order 1886 is its lack of a multiplayer mode, which meant it had a lack of replayability. This did not take away from the fact that the Order 1886 was a solid game, it just hindered the fact that it was not worth the $60 price tag, which is the main reason it is on this list. This is a game I feel is worth experiencing and is not going to break the bank now that you can get it from between $10 to $15 at certain places such as GameStop and Amazon and even Walmart if you're able to find it. You can also download it from your PlayStation for about $15 as well. So this is a game I feel is worth experiencing. Next up is actually Evolve. Now, Evolve had a lot of issues when it came out. Most of the issues consisted of the fact that Evolve did not have a campaign mode when it was released. Another issue is that Evolve's content was not a lot. It did not have a lot of content. This was compounded on the fact that there were a ton of day one DLC, which pissed off a lot of consumers and reviewers due to the fact that they felt that that was content that was purposely cut out of the game to then be sold to the consumer separate on day one. So in order to really experience a full game, you basically had to pay $60 as well as maybe another $60 worth of content in order to basically experience the full game, and that pissed off a lot of people. Another issue Evolve suffered on release was that it was extremely unbalanced. There were some weeks in which the hunters were OP and would absolutely shred the monster, and then after some updates, the vice versa happened, in which the monster was OP and it was almost impossible to win as the hunter. It also didn't help that some people felt that the game was extremely repetitive, which I don't actually agree with that statement. I think there is a lot of variety to this particular game, especially when you're going up against different hunters and monsters in different environments. What also doesn't help is that this game is, for the most part, marketed to a niche group of people. The best way to enjoy this particular game is with a group of friends who already own the game as well, as 4 of you guys can play as the hunters and 1 of you guys can play as the monster, which made for excellent gameplay. Now, where that may not justify a $60 price tag, that does not take away from the fact that this game is extremely innovative, extremely fun, and visually stunning. Walking through these worlds, you feel like you're really exploring a different planet, a different world, a different universe. To see the world from both the monster's perspective as well as the hunter's perspective is just a unique experience that is unrivaled by anything else that came out in 2015. The diversity in the hunters and in the monsters bring new ways to basically hunt and track down the monster. It's a great gaming experience, added to the fact that if you have people who have this game, it's just going to enhance that experience tenfold. And now that all of the patches have been released and the game is more well balanced, this is a game well worth getting, especially due to the fact that you can pretty much get the base game at just $10 if you go to your local GameStop or Walmart. If you wanted to get the game with all of the DLC content, you can also get that for about $20 to $25, and you'll get access to all of the new hunters, outfits, as well as all of the new monsters that were released later. So for that amount of money, this game is well worth the purchase. The gameplay experience is unique and fun, and this is a game that's just unlike anything else that was on the market. Now, to move on to our next game, we're going to be talking about Batman Arkham Knight. Now, for those who are wondering why the Arkham Knight is on this list, for those who don't remember, Arkham Knight got less than stellar reviews on its initial launch, as it launched with a lot of day one DLCs, which pissed off a lot of customers, as well as day one DLCs that were exclusive to certain consoles. Meaning, if you had a PlayStation, you only had access to certain DLCs, and if you had an Xbox One, you only had access to certain DLCs as well. Another thing, too, is that on launch, the PC version was completely broken and had been broken for weeks to even months. And because of that, on its launch, Arkham Knight got a lot of bad publicity, which kind of hindered its sales. Since its launch, there's been several patches that fix certain bugs and glitches that were also present on the console version. Now, I do want to add that this does not take away from the core mechanics of the game. And the core mechanics of the Batman game is that it's an extremely fun game with a really solid and interesting storyline, which brings to the forefront a different and more interesting villain than always having to deal with the Joker. In the Arkham Knight, you get to soar or drive around the entire Gotham City, which is a visually stunning city. Another benefit to this particular game is that the gameplay mechanics make you feel like a complete badass playing with Batman, as you have access to all his ninja moves and equipment. Because of that, I do highly recommend this game, especially now that you can get it at a cheaper price. It may not have been worth the $60 price tag on its launch date, but it's definitely worth the $30 price tag that you can get it for now at GameStop, Walmart, or Amazon. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, your life is a fantasy.